Well, hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I bring you, as always, the review of this week's chapter of One Piece 824 of its name, Little Pirate Games. This was a very awesome chapter. I really enjoyed it. First of all, just from this beginning, where we see Luffy's reaction to the article that stated the destruction of Baltigo. First of all, he's just worried about Sabo. That's the most funny thing. It's to be expected because he doesn't know anyone else except his father there. And second, it's his reaction to his dad's photo because it's actually the first time he sees him, and he's like, he doesn't have anything to do with me. And we're like, it's not mandatory that father and child are look-alike, and it's true, it's not mandatory. Genetics, it's not 100% look-alike. I mean, so yes. But anyway, they keep reading the article, and they find out that actually the destruction of Baltigo was made apparently by Blackbeard himself, or the Blackbeard pirates. So if this comes to be true, it kind of puts a nail on the theory that I presented last week, in which I believe that the revolutionaries were the ones that destroyed Baltigo. So, but as Nami says, it is apparently so. No one actually witnessed the destruction of Baltigo. They just assume that after the Marines and the Cypher Pole arrived there, that the Blackbeard pirates had already destroyed the place. So, my guess still stands, and sorry for this pause here. I was thinking. My guess remains that the revolutionaries were actually the ones that destroyed Baltigo, or started the destruction of Baltigo, because I never expected for Blackbeard himself to go towards Baltigo. It was something unexpected. In fact, they don't state that Blackbeard himself was there. They say that the Blackbeard pirates were there. So not refuse, but I'm kind of skeptical as to believe that Blackbeard himself would go towards the Revolutionary Army. But who knows? It may be true. It may be not. It just it's not clear to me why would one of the emperors had any business with the revolutionaries. I mean, yes, um, Burgess had all that fight against Sabo and everything. It would be advantageous to them in terms of devil fruits, since they are on the hunt for devil fruits. But other than that, I really see no reason for Blackbeard himself to go to Baltico. But as stated by Pedro, it's clear to me that yes, Blackbeard was there, although I still don't see much sense on it. And apparently they clashed against Cypher Pole. Was it CP0 or any other of the sheepies? We don't know how many sheepies there were there, but there isn't any information about those that were killed or those that were wounded. And so, based on that, we can assume that Dragon and Sabo and any other revolutionaries are safe for the time being. Because, as Pedro says, should Dragon or Sabo either be killed or captured, sorry, my throat is sore. Should any of them be either captured or killed, the whole world would have known by now. It would be the new of the day. It would break the world just like the Aces that and Whitebeards that broke the world once. Anyway, leaving the destruction of Baltico beside, we have Chopper finally getting Luffy's attention. And apparently Luffy's skills as a cook are as good as a cockroach's, because he managed to set fire to the kitchen and the Sunny, and the kitchen exploded. And on top of that, there's a storm on the horizon, and everything becomes chaotic, and the action cuts back to Zoe, where Wanda discovers where Carrot is gone. And we see that Carrot bribed little Baratie with some bananas. And the poor fella is like, oh no, but she was just so quiet and going away, and but she didn't want to betray you. But oh, poor little monkey. But she's happy that she's gone because there would be no way that she was convinced to stay. And since she's with Luffy, she's safe for now. And she starts talking with Inuarashi about the security of Zou, because now there's no chance that the enemies are not going to go back there. So I believe we may yet see some degree of confrontation between Kaido and the minks that are still in Zou. Because for them to state this, and based on what we see further in the page, Jack is alive in the bottom of the sea. And correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, this is a fishman. Jack is a fishman, or at least half a fishman, just like the Linja was. But I stake my coin in him being a full fishman, a full-fledged fishman. Because I don't know, it just seems like it. Yes, I know there are other characters with sharp teeth. Gecko Moria had sharp teeth, and it was nothing. He was no fishman at all. Maybe he was a descendant. He was a half fishman. Who knows? That would be funny. But for Jack to be just there, laying in unscathed and breathing, there's no doubt he's either a full fishman or half fishman, which is reassuring to me, because when I saw Jack getting defeated by Zunisha, I was worried. I was literally worried, because he was one of he is he's not was he's one of Kaido's top executives. He's one of the three calamities. He's a man who's worth 1 billion berries. 1 billion berries. That's the highest bounty we've seen in One Piece so far. Which again, bounty doesn't mean strength, but still. And he was a very powerful man. Even though the Mings had the upper hand, he was still a force to be reckoned with. The guy has an ancient devil fruit, and I just couldn't get myself to believe that he was actually dead. So him being alive and being a fishman is actually something very, very reassuring. And now the action cuts to Wano. I believe it's Wano, even though the chapter states a certain country. But since it was already told to us that Kaido's base was in Wano, I believe we can assume that this place where we see him now is actually Wano. And this was a very funny part, because Kaido is just there, pissed drunk and crying, because he won't be getting any more smiles from Don Flamingo, because his dream was to have an only devil fruit user pirate crew. And Luffy and Law just broke that dream for him. So poor little Kaido is crying. But right after that, he places Law's and Luffy's wanted poster in the face of some of his subordinates, and he clubs them, and they go flying off of a building they are in, because apparently they are inside of a building. And he goes from a crying drunk to an angry drunk in like the split of a second. Before I move on, two concerns, or two statements. Wasn't Kaido a little bit bigger when we first saw him? Because it appears that he kind of shrunk a little bit. I mean, he was more poof, like his harm, his soul harm was like the same white as myself, apparently. And now he looks smaller. Could it have been a perspective matter when he first appeared, to give that impression, oh god, Kaido of the 100 Beasts, a giant, and now he's just I don't know. It may be just a matter of perspective. Maybe the perspective we see him in this particular scene is from a bit from afar, so he looks smaller. I don't know. Kaido doesn't look as beefed up as he apparently was back when we first appeared. And one thing else, he's wearing a shirt now. I do not believe he was wearing a shirt when he first appeared as well. When he first appeared as well. But who knows? The guy returned to Wano and suddenly was like, "Oh my God, I'm naked. Put a shirt on." Who knows? Maybe that's the thing. And now we finally have the confirmation of who was locked in that jail when we've seen Apu's Dendenmushi talking about Jack's disappearance. And it is no one else than ours only, Eustace Captain Kidd. And what Kaido says, it's really, really true. You idiots better run, because up until now, we've simply been playing little pirate games. Because up so far, none of them, except for Luffy maybe, none of them had actually made any sudden moves. All of a sudden, Kid decides to go against Chunks, but is intercepted by Kaido. And that's what Kaido meant. Kid made a too high a jump. Luffy, on the other hand, has been kinda scaling the ladder a little bit more paced. Even though he doesn't realize that and it's not his objective, what he has been done up so far, ever since he got into the new world, has been to a sole purpose. First off, he defeated Shiza Clown, even though it was an accident. He defeated it was an accident him getting to Punk Hazard, which is something very cool to think. What if he hadn't gone to Punk Hazard? What if by any chance he hasn't gone there? I believe that he going there was kinda a law strategy. He planned that bug on the Marines to know where he would. I don't know. It just seems too coincidence. I mean, if he hadn't gone there, how would Law think to go after him? Or did Law think about joining him in Pancazard? Some might say it was planned beforehand, some might say it wasn't. Who knows? But the thing is, Kid is there, locked by Kaido, and he's pretty messed up. I mean, poor guy. I mean, he's my favorite supernova. Well, second favorite supernova. Well, or is it third? He shares the spot with X Drake. Let's put it like that. He shares the spot with X Drake. Now, what will happen to Kid? Kid being locked, I assume at the very least that Killer is also locked. Now, the question is, we've seen Hapu that is joined up with Kaido. The question now remains on Hawkins. What has happened with Hawkins? Has he betrayed Kid as well and joined Kaido? Or is he locked up with Kid as well? I would like for him to be locked with Kid as well, because I believe that Hawkins is a more loyal guy than Hapu is. And even though he may have thought about, I mean, I have no chance with this guy, but still stepping as low as to betray him, I mean, who knows? Hawkins is a pirate, is interested in his own survival, and despite how we look at it, Kid's being locked is one less stone in Hawkins' way or any other pirate's way. So we'll have to see. But now we go back to the Sunny, where finally Luffy finished his dish, and yes, it has like raw rice, some purple stuff, fish bones, jam, and a transparent jelly-like substance. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Luffy's secret random curry. I mean, I never thought that they would let him go through, that they would let him go through with this, that they actually would let him cook. I believe even if Nami was charging money, I believe she was like, no, if the alternative is you cooking, no, I'll do it for free. But apparently, no. And so, due to that mistake and stubbornness, they've lost a week's worth of provisions and now they're out of food. And they are facing starvation. And speaking of starvation, we go forward in time a few days later, Big Mom's pirate ship, and finally we see Sanji in the current time. And apparently, snow is cotton candy. I would like to have snow like that. Imagine just all of a sudden would start to snow cotton candy. I would love that. I would really love that. And we have some talk between him and Baron Tamago. We find out that there's some stations of the Big Mom pirates all around the New World and the territories of Big Mom. And if they weren't for Big Mom's ship, they would have already been shot down. So it's the first time we see a Nyonko's organization on its territories. Big Mom actually has stations that control whoever goes by their territories. Which is pretty interesting. I do believe we will see this particular base start at 28 again when Luffy and the others pass through it, but that's for a later date. And now we have Tamago trying to convince Sanji to join them along with his family. Because Big Mom already knows about him, about his cooking, about when he was a chef on the Barathi. And she thinks very highly of him, so this he will be safe, at least for he will be in a very comfortable situation should he join. But this cook is a man of principles, even though he's a pervert cook, but he has principles towards his friends, and his hands only exist to cook for his friends. Which is very, very manly of him. Sanji, have I missed you? I did. And another surprise in this chapter, Peckham's matter is of common knowledge. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting Capone to come up with an excuse like, oh, he was attacked. I had to leave him behind, otherwise I would have gotten attacked myself and we wouldn't have gotten Sanji. But no, they actually think of Peckham's as a traitor. They consider Peckham's a traitor. So does that mean that Peckham is now out of Big Mom's crew? Where will he go after this? I don't know. I was very shocked with this. I was not expecting them to treat their comrades so low as that. I was expecting actually for Big Mom to be a caring captain on her own way, but I would have expected her to have some degree of respect for her top executives, as I believe Peckham's and Tamago are. But apparently not. So I was pretty shocked when I read this. But anyway, this is Pirates Live, and now the chapter ends with the biggest revelation of the year so far: the appearance of Lady Charlotte Perrin, the 35th daughter of the Charlotte family, and she is no one else than the three-eyed girl we've seen first time Big Mom appeared. At least everything on her matches: her nose, her hair, just overall her facial appearance, everything matches. So I believe it's safe to say, and her hair is even covering her forehead as to hide her eye. It's in a shape that's clearly indicating that she is the three-eyed girl. Now, before I end, a little something I've been thinking on Miss Purin here. Wouldn't it be funny for her to have a personality like the girl from, I believe it's Mirai Nikki, The pink-eyed girl, Yuki. I've never seen Mirai Nikki, if that's even the anime I'm talking about. But it's the pink-eyed girl who loves the boy so much that she's willing to kill anyone who tries to have any contact with him. Wouldn't it be funny for Purin to have a personality like this? Not to the extreme as that. But imagine the situation like when Luffy and the others arrive to save Sanji. Sanji's like, oh my god, Nami, I miss you so much with hearts and all. And Purin is like, what? And she picks up a knife and threats Nami with it. It would be funny for her to have a personality like that. Otherwise, I don't believe that Sanji will want to leave the marriage unless he gets teased off by the eye, which I do not believe. Sanji has other worries than a third eye. So yes, this was this week's chapter, a very, very cool chapter. As I said, not an action-packed chapter, but just like the last chapter, it was a needed chapter to set things straight. It gave a lot of information on the state of the world. Last chapter gave information on the state of the reverie. This chapter gave a statement on Kaido's situation and Sanji's situation. I believe that from now on, things will start converging towards the end of Big Mom's saga, to the end of the marriage saga, whatever it's called. But things now will start to get focused. Maybe we'll have the reverie on the side. I don't know how they will address this, if they'll do the reverie first, if they'll do the marriage first. As of now, it's kinda hard to say which direction it will take. Maybe both, who knows. But I hope you have enjoyed, guys. As I said in the last video of the channel, 7 Deadly Sins video, I'm not sure if next week we're gonna have any chapters because it's the Golden Week on Japan. So it's an holiday week, so I don't think that we'll have any chapters. One Piece chapter doesn't state that next week will be a break, but as it is an holiday week, I think that they kind of realize that it's pretty self-known that next week is holiday, so we don't even need to put a warning on the chapters. Who knows? If there's a chapter, I'll be here to comment on that. If not, I might try to get something to compensate for that. But anyways, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.